Okay, I've decided to do something a bit different for the second video of 2020. What you see here are 32 British American War of Independence infantry, which I'm about to start painting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through basically each stage that I go through when painting these. This could be thoroughly boring. I hope not. I just thought it might be a bit interesting than simply, a bit more interesting rather, than simply showing you the finished product. So what we've got here are the 32 men. They've all been cleaned up. I bought these off eBay. They're actually foundry figures. They're quite old. I have to say that they've needed virtually no cleaning up at all. There was just a couple of little bits and pieces on each one that I needed to snip off with my knife and file, but other than that they're exceptionally clear and clean castings. So I've stuck them all on little jars, as you can see, using sticky pads, and the next stage is to spray paint them. Normally I would spray paint these in a black primer and then work from there, but I've decided to try something different because there is a large amount of white or light colouring on these figures. And so I've decided, contrary to my usual practice, I'm actually going to spray these with white primer and then work from there. So it'll be interesting to see how they turn out. So they're all ready to go. What you see here is a rather filthy looking spray booth, which I've had for a long time. I change the filters regularly. You wouldn't think so to look at that one, which is coated in black paint, but that's only been in for a couple of painting sessions. It's not focusing too well. I'm not quite sure why that's the case. Bear with me and I'll try and correct that for you. Yeah, so it's pretty crappy looking, as you can see, because it gets some use. I find that by spraying indoors using this method, I don't have to worry about weather conditions. I get fairly constant temperature, and so there's usually not a problem with it. For the actual process of priming, I'm using this airbrush that you see here. This is an Iwata Revolution. I've had it for quite a while. It's, as you can see, HP TR2. I bought it as my very first decent, in inverted commas, airbrush. I knew very little about airbrushes at that stage. It's more of a spray gun actually than an airbrush, I find this. I have got a more expensive one that I use for fine work, but I hardly ever use it. I've not even got used to using it properly, but this I find great. It means I've not got to worry about spray cans. It can be a bit of a pain to clean up now and then, but it's not too bad, and it does the job. So what I'll now do is I'll stop waffling and I'll move on to get the figures themselves on the spray booth and kick off painting them. So I'll come back to you when they're all primed. Well then, this be one of those warts and all videos. I may as well show you the screw-ups. I just loaded this pot with paint, ready to start. It was in fact connected to my airbrush, struggling with two hands here, connected to my airbrush where the little plastic pot now is. I was just about to start spraying when this pot decided that it would just rotate, and it duly rotated and emptied the entire contents onto my spray board. The air is now returned to a normal colour after being blue for a while, but what I've decided to do is to give over using that thing. It's done this before, and I'll just use the little plastic pot, which is smaller, but you see it's got an adapter to hold it onto the gun. So take two, I suppose. Back in a bit. Back again, having completed the spray priming of the 32 figures. notwithstanding the ordeal of spilling the paint all over everywhere. Having had to move to the smaller tank is a bit of a pain because I've had to refill it several times. The figures that you see here have received 2 coats of spray paint. It's Vallejo primer that I've used. I've tried not to put too much on so that I don't obscure the details, and they've turned out okay. As I said, it's a bit of a pain that I spilled most of it to start with, or at least one lot. But that's one of those things. So these are all now going to be left to dry thoroughly, and I will then look at starting to paint them. So I will keep you posted. That's my compressor just popping away there in the background. Next job is to clean the airbrush. What joy. See you later. Well, this is a bit of a leap forward. I suppose it's something to do with my age, really. I completely forgot that I was going to do a stage-by-stage video of painting these things. And I also changed my mind about painting half of them at a time. So what you see before you is the completed unit. All 32 of them. Sorry about that. I didn't really intend that to happen, but I just got carried away with them, and I'd forgotten completely that I was supposed to do a stage-by-stage video. But the way my painting mojo's going, you've got to strike while the iron's hot, really. Anyway, they're all done. As I say, there are 32 of them. I've mounted them on fairly deep bases, which you can see here, if I can just turn this round, because I wanted to try and create an illusion that they were 3 lines deep, but you can't do that with 32 figures. I mean, there's simply not enough, and I was damned if I was going to paint any more figures. It was bad enough painting these, but nevertheless, I think they've turned out reasonably well. I've given them a bit more scenic effects on the rear bases, or the rears of the bases rather. Flowers and bushes and God knows what, and I think they're okay. They are intended to be the 38th South Staffordshire Regiment. That flag continually keeps coming off there. I'm going to do something about that. Drastic. I'll get it glued on in a minute. Anyway. I just thought I'd show you them and apologise for the fact that you haven't seen the stage by stage, but I suspect if you had seen stage by stage you'd have been bored rigid anyway. I think the idea of painting them with white undercoat has been successful on this occasion. I've done a bit of washing as well with, I think I used Agrax Earthshade to bring them down a little bit. Tried to keep the officers slightly cleaner than the rank and file on the basis that they'd have people to look after their laundry and so forth, whereas the rank and file wouldn't. But it's another unit of American War of Independence or American Revolution British infantry. I've got some more AWI or American Revolution figures to do. I've got another unit, I think, in this pose, which is 32 men strong. And I've got some light troops to do as well. But what I'm going to do next, I think, is probably have a break from doing horse and musket, because I've got some Warlord Games late war British infantry, which I've had, oh God, ages. They were a birthday present a few years back, so I'm going to have a go at doing some of those for a bit of a change. I'm not going to do a stage by stage on those either. I'll just show you them when they're finished at some point, but I hope this has been of some interest, and I'm waffling a bit now, so I'll leave it as it is. I hope that all your projects are going well, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers for now. Thanks for watching.